I'm Hollie Overton.
I'm Heather Overton.
I'm the author of Baby Doll and The Walls. So Baby Doll explores the relationship between Abby and Lily. Lily was abducted at 16 years old, and she comes back 8 years later. So the book explores the relationship between the twins being apart for 8 years and sort of where they are now and how different their lives have been. There's the famous case in the States about Ariel Castro, who had taken the 3 girls and held them captive for 10 years, and so that was the inspiration. But then I kept thinking about my relationship with my twin, and Heather's being my best friend, and we've lived together, and we've worked at the same jobs before together. Being a twin defined our relationship and our lives, and I just thought what would be like if suddenly I was 16 years old and I lost my best friend and the person who sort of made me centered in the world. That was just the jumping off point. I thought I can't even imagine how that would change. And I think in the book it explores that the girl who's held captive, that Lily, her life was changed, but in some ways her sister Abby was worse off, not knowing whether her sister was dead or alive. That was really all about how I explored our twin relationship.
There's also the black sweater, the Black Cardigan, which plays a big role, which is from our own life.
She lost it in a taxi.
I finally admitted I lost it.
And so I get to kind of have my revenge in the book. The last thing her sister says to her is they have a fight about this, something so stupid like a lost black sweater. So that played a big part too in the book. If we ever experienced anything like a psychic connection to our twins, I've always wanted to have that moment where it was something really profound happened, like she was stuck in a well, or
stuck in an elevator,
stuck in an elevator,
and stuck in an elevator. She didn't know.
Or I broke my wrist and she had no idea, she never felt the pain. But this is the funniest, the smoothie stories. We were at the same airport but on separate sides of an airport, going to 2 different places, and I was fast asleep, and all of a sudden I woke up and I was it was such a strong urge to have a smoothie, a banana smoothie. We came back from our trip and she was like, yeah, so then I wandered around the airport and I got a smoothie. So I don't know if that moment she got it, I was like, I need a smoothie. That was the closest. So it wasn't as exciting as being locked in the trunk of a car and she knew.
Did we ever pretend to be each other? We did actually. The thing that people always ask is, did we do that with guys? And we always say no, because once they could tell us apart, we didn't want to mess with it. But we did go on a lot of job interviews for each other. I remember we were working in a bar in New York City, and I was really sick, and we worked in 2 separate parts of the restaurant, and no one would stay for me. So we went to the bathroom and switched clothes, and she stayed for me, and I went home and went to bed. So it comes in very handy in those situations.
And we were, we're pretty identical. So when we were younger, I would wear a watch and she wouldn't, and that was how people would tell us apart. I think Heather and I are very similar. I think a lot of identical twins tend to be very similar, and we both love the same things, like movies and books and yoga. And I think when we were younger, we tried to I want to be unique and different, and then we ended up just, we just really like the same things. It's nice when you love those same things and you can share them with your best friend.
One of our favorite books from literature, I think the Sweet Valley High series. I mean, growing up, we actually really related to the twins, because I was like, you're Elizabeth, I'm Jessica.
Which I always hated, because if you've read the Sweet Valley High books, Elizabeth's the boring one, and Jessica's the cool one, and she gets to have all the fun. But then I realized I really was Elizabeth. She even wore a watch, and I was like, I just have to embrace that. But that was one of our
Any
favorites.
other twin?
I can't think of any. Yeah. The best Halloween costume we've ever done as twins was one year we went as the Shining Twins, and I put a lot of work into it. I ordered the dresses, I dyed them myself.
Her husband went as the Jack Nicholson character. He had an axe and he followed us around.
Unfortunately, a friend of mine drank too much and threw up on it, so we had to throw the dresses away. But if we still had them, I think we would do that Halloween costume every year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The only bad thing about doing it, though, is that if you go to a party dressed as the Shining Twins, you can't
lose your twin, or
you
then
have
no
to
one
stay
knows.
together, because then people don't know who you are. But that was definitely the most fun we'd had at a Halloween. Is it true that there's an evil twin in every twin relationship? I think yes.
I think evil, it would maybe be me, but I think evil.
I think it might be a little harsh.
Maybe I think the wilder twin.
Yes, I think that's
the way I've mellowed as we've gotten older. The best thing about growing up with a twin was having a built-in best friend, and I think that's still the best part of it now.
Being able to, just have someone to talk to, and to gang up on your parents, and go on vacations together, and just someone who really supports everything that you do. That's the best thing about it. And then of course, then the worst thing is obviously all the fighting
and the competitiveness.
And the competitiveness.